It's 2025 and you're standing in front of a home that you've got listed that you must sell. Well, the market's changed and you need answers fast. I've got them for you, and in the next few minutes, I'm gonna lay out exactly what you can expect from the 2025 real estate market and how to prepare for it. So first, picture this. You're on a roller coaster and the track is called mortgage rates. You remember those 2 and 3% days. That's the ride you wanna be on. It's not the ride you're on in 2025. In fact, it's far more likely that rates are going to go up than go down this year. So you must have a strategy to get homes sold in the current market condition. And that goes far beyond the simple lever that real estate professionals have been pulling for years, right? If you're a homeowner and they're not able to sell your house, what do they say? Lower the price. Well, what if there were a way to get your home sold in 25 without reducing the price? What if there were a way to offer a mortgage rate that was far below current market values? Would that be something that you could use to get a home sold in a stuck market? Absolutely, and I'm going to show you how. So why do interest rates have such a profound effect on the real estate market? It has to do with the value of money and our ability to accumulate it over time. Once upon a time, there wasn't a thing called a mortgage. If people wanted to own a home, they had to save up enough money to buy the entire home. The invention of a mortgage was a wonderful thing because it unlocked home ownership and the wealth that can be created through home ownership for so many people. Well, let's fast forward from that date all the way to the 2008 financial crisis, where mortgage had morphed into something that was so easy to obtain. Many people were getting no-doc mortgages. They would just say, yep, that's how much I earn, and the bank would say, well, then you're qualified. Here's your mortgage, right? And so we had a situation where mortgage rates were relatively low. Getting the money was an incredibly easy thing to do, and a lot of people purchased real estate. And some people built these house of cards that just couldn't withstand the financial collapse. And so the government put controls in place to make sure that that sort of thing couldn't happen again, right? So getting a mortgage in the post-2008 environment was dramatically different than getting it in the pre-2008 environment. Now we're going to jump forward again to an event. You remember the COVID years, right? You remember how low interest rates were, how white hot the real estate market was. If you had a home for sale then, it sold almost instantly. And in many parts of the country, we had scenarios where there were multiple offers made well above the list price of the home. And for many of you, that's the first and maybe the only time you'll ever see that in your careers. You know, it's far more normal historically for a home to be listed at a price and for the buyer to obtain the home below that price, right? Low interest rates created a buyer's frenzy, which caused the home to be sold above list price. So now we're in a scenario where for the past several years, all the pundits, all the experts have been predicting that rates were going to come down from this high 6, low 7% range, and they would settle somewhere in the mid 4s to the low 5s. That's where we were expecting to see mortgage rates. Well, that hasn't happened. It hasn't happened because of several reasons. One of which would be that we've got a historical shortage of new home inventory because the response to that economic crisis in 2008 was that national home builders were not building the inventory that they historically did. So there's a whole glut of population shift that are in their prime home buying years, and there's just no inventory for them to purchase homes, right? So we've got a unique situation now where there's so much inventory that's trapped in these 2 and 3% mortgages. You've got sellers who would like to sell, you've got buyers who would like to buy, but the people aren't selling because they don't want the high interest rate. The buyers aren't buying because they can't afford the high interest rate. So I don't expect 2025 to be a year where we can expect a return to those historic low interest rates. I think all of us have to embrace the new normal, that these mortgage rates we're experiencing today are here to stay. So rates, of course, are just one piece of the puzzle. Let's take a deeper look at inventory. One of the best ways to understand the health of a real estate market is by looking at the average days on market for a newly listed home. And looking at the data from different markets around the country, we don't see a uniform condition. There are some markets where homes that are listed today are still going to sell very quickly because those are incredibly highly desirable areas where there's a pool of buyers who are capable of acquiring those homes and their income levels support today's interest rates. In other parts of the country, we're seeing where days on market has steadily grown. We're seeing where a home that would have sold a year ago within 30 days is now taking 60, 90, 120 days to sell. And I want to put some historical context in place for you. If you're new in real estate since COVID years, you've never seen a market like this. And it can feel incredibly strange to have a home sit for 90 days. It may feel like something's wrong. And yet, historically, 90 days on market is considered very normal and healthy. So again, if you know the data, you're able to make really good decisions. And as a real estate professional, it's your job to communicate what this data means to your sellers and your buyers. So with inventory in mind, let's talk about what everyone really cares about: prices. Over the past 12 months, the median home price in the United States of America has been $426,800. Now compare that to the COVID years. It's $100,000 higher. And I'm guessing that is not what you would have expected. So let's examine what this means from the mindset of a person trying to decide whether they're going to buy or sell real estate in 2025. If you're a home buyer and you think that prices are going to continue to go up, well, whatever today's interest rate is, it probably makes sense to buy, right? And yet, if you're a seller and you've got a low interest rate and you see that today's high interest rate, it might make more sense to stay where you are. There's always competing priorities depending on what you decide is important for you. So in some markets around the country, we're hearing that inventory is still moving very quickly. There's still white hot market conditions in some pockets of the country. In others, inventory is starting to sit for 90, 120 plus days before it's able to move. So no matter which market you're in, I'd encourage you to understand that market conditions are always temporary, and your ability to communicate effectively about them can make all the difference. So if you're watching this and you're trying to decide whether or not it's the right time to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I'm going to encourage you to recognize that the market conditions, today's prevailing interest rate, these things rise and fall over time. What really matters is at the stage your life is in currently. Are you living in a place that meets your needs fully? Are you living in a home that allows you to create the memories you want to with your loved ones? Are you living in a home that's also a good financial choice, meaning that can you afford it if costs do rise? If mortgage rates continue to go up and there were downward pressure on pricing in home, can you still afford to live in the home that you're in? If so, it's probably a good choice to buy it. If not, I'm going to encourage you not to make financial choices that put yourself in jeopardy. So the best way to thrive in the 2025 environment is to really understand what's happening in your local market. And the best way I know to help you do that is via realestateindustriesurvey.com. Since 2020, they've been conducting an annual sentiment survey from real estate professionals and from consumers. And when you run this in your area, when you just simply answer the survey, you get a copy of the data that is relevant for your particular area. So it's a great way to get some insight as to what the concerns are of buyers and sellers in your particular market. And through Real Estate Industry Survey, you may have access to some really special programs that include this low financing that's available in some parts of the country. So if you're looking to buy a home and you'd like an interest rate as low as 4.99%, or if you're seeking to sell a home and you'd like to buy your next home at a rate around 4%, take the quick survey at realestateindustriesurvey.com and they can connect you with a resource that can help. And that 2 to 3% swing may not sound like a lot, and yet it could be hundreds or even thousands of dollars per month difference in your monthly mortgage payment. And over the life of your loan, it could easily be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that you're saving in mortgage interest. So take a look.